Alright, we got ourselves another reaction vid. This time it's to how Hollow Knight was beaten blindfolded by Blue SR. Oh, I haven't subscribed to this guy yet. Whoopsie. Subscribe! Subscribe, guys! By the way, let's get right into the reaction. How Hollow Knight was beaten blindfolded. Commenter.
Alright, let's set the scene.
Mentioned this video in the last in one of my videos, so giving it a shot.
But what if I told you the person doing it cannot see the game?
He's blindfolded. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gonna basically put everybody else to
my
shame.
Pet Cactus. He's a Hollow
My
Knight
pet
speedrunner,
cactus.
challenge runner, and well, he's very, very good at the game.
I would assume
A few
so.
days ago, he became the first ever person to beat Hollow Knight blindfolded.
Wow.
Under his belt, he also has a hitless Pantheon 5 clear and multiple top speedrun times.
Okay.
A blindfolded completion of Hollow Knight is an amazing feat that requires a lot of memorization, problem solving, awareness, patience, and practice.
More than what I
The
got.
more you think about it, the more ridiculous the idea of attempting it even becomes.
Found the
In Hollow
ever-loving.
Knight, so much of the game is based on the visuals, the platforming, the boss attack telegraphs,
True,
etc.,
true.
etc. So much of this game is designed and balanced around
You're my
being
pet
able
cactus.
to see the game. So, how was it that Cactus was able to overcome this seemingly insurmountable challenge?
A lot of
There we
time and
go.
practice.
Well, that's what we're taking a look
And
at
thousands
today.
of hours in the
In
game.
this video, I'm going
learning
to break
it.
down and analyze Cactus's run and showcase some of the clever solutions that he came up with.
Okay,
I'll also be asking
I'm never
you
going
some
to be able to
questions
do this,
directly.
just saying.
On that note, let's start the video.
I'm just gonna
But before we
focus
do,
on
I highly recommend you check out
seeing,
his full
the
run. It's
actual
posted on his
work.
YouTube channel, and it is, wow, yeah.
I don't think
wow.
I don't think I
Let's
could
get
do
into
I don't think I could do a react to the entire playthrough of that, so I'm settling for just the analysis of it.
While playing the
think
game with
it's
a
way too much.
blindfold
Oh,
on,
I'm gonna
we
move.
encounter some pretty big issues, some more obvious than
Stuff over
others.
here.
For starters, it's really hard to know where
Beautiful.
on the screen you are. You also can't know how far you're walking, how
boom.
high you're jumping, and you just have to depend on your memory.
Yeah.
Now luckily, Cactus has a trick up his sleeve to mitigate a lot of these issues. And you can see him utilize this right at the beginning of the run
Using
when he drops
sounds.
into King's Pass. What I'm talking about, of course, is the game's audio design. Notice, for example, how he slashes around himself to identify whether he is close to a wall or not. In this way, the feedback audio of the nail hitting different objects
Basically how
assists him in
somebody is
deciphering
blind
where in
would
the room
move
he
around.
is. Other than that, he uses a lot of consistent setups,
sense,
such as
right?
positioning
Totally makes
himself
sense.
against the wall, doing full jumps, etc., etc. Using strategies such as these, he's able to get himself all the way to the Aspid Arena. But how do you handle combats if you can't see the game?
Yeah, that
Well,
would be
in the
an
case
issue,
of the
wouldn't it
Aspid
be?
Arena, Cactus is
Because
able to find
aspids
a
are
consistent
nasty.
setup that allows him to manipulate the Aspids in a way where he can consistently strike them. Even
Sure.
False Knight is trivial for
Oh my
Cactus
gosh,
to
how
take
is he gonna
down
beat all the
because
bosses?
it's a
Now I
fight
just realized
doesn't
that. Holy
require much
smokes.
thinking or positioning at all. Even while seeing the game, speedrunners barely look at the False Knight fight because it's so simple. He fully
It's simple,
defeats False
sure,
Knight,
but
picks up City
still.
Crest and the Geo, and then grabs the Vengeful Spirit. Now, this is gonna sound a bit weird, but the early parts of the run are
Sure.
one of the hardest parts when it comes to traversal, and that is because he
Oh.
doesn't have a consistent way of moving. Unless there's any walls or corners that he can
Big open
slash at to know
rooms,
where he
grooves,
is,
especially-
he has to
Yeah.
basically count
Yeah.
how far he's walking. Only when he picks up the Mothwing cloak is he gonna have a consistent way to move, with one dash always moving you the same distance. But more
True.
on that after Greenpath. Now, after slowly but steadily making his way up through the Grezzer room, killing the Balder, and jumping across the
geez,
acid
trying to
pits,
kill the
Cactus
Balder
makes
would
his way
be-
into Greenpath. Now, before we continue, I need to remind you of the logistics of attempting something like this.
Sure.
Cactus has spent hours upon hours labbing out strategies,
Mhm.
planning routes, and memorizing the different segments of the run,
Yeah.
and he needs to remember all of this. No visual references, no additional information,
Yeah.
just pure
Probably should
memory.
turn off
Keep in mind, it's not a short run either. This is going to take him 4 hours to complete, roughly.
Yeah,
Greenpath really turns it up.
but
a
that's
notch.
still
it's a lot more punishing
faster
than
than when
Crossroads
I beat
because
the
of
game the
large
first
acid
time,
pits
so
that
it's
cover the
incredibly
ground in
insane.
a lot of the rooms. So
This is
he
really
needs to
cool,
use
this is
some
cool.
clever strategies
But-
to mitigate the risk.
I know
Consistent
people do
positioning
things
landmarks
blindfolded, but
once again
still, it
hails
seems
supreme,
way.
with walls and ceilings and other stuff that you can slash
I think
at to
that's
position
way
yourself
too
against.
much
He also uses
for any
full
normal
jumps as much
person
as
to try
possible
out.
because they give a consistent height. Small taps of the left and right buttons will have to do for precise positioning for now. Now, to save himself roughly 40 minutes of memorized routes down in Lower Greenpath, Cactus decides to go for the fireball skip. To do this, he gathers Full Soul from the
Okay.
birds and then sets up a consistent position by hugging this left wall. After this, it's all timing.
I am disciplined.
Okay, hold on. Whoa, dude was doing literal. Okay, sorry, there's ads. I'm sorry about that. But dude was doing fireball skip blind. I can't do that. I haven't even learned how to do fireball skip. Like, I know how you do it. It's obvious.
So that this video isn't ages long.
And I'll figure it out
now that I've
eventually.
shown you
I
what
just.
type of
Oh my
tactics
gosh,
he uses, the rest isn't super hard to imagine.
Yeah, I'm just
Now,
doing
Hornet,
React
as
videos.
opposed to
Like,
False
how would I
Knight,
actually
is an
show
actual fight
me
that
doing
requires
this?
some
You know,
clever
maybe I should do
strategies to
that,
beat.
but I don't know.
So after benching at Greenpath Stag, he begins the fight.
That is.
Now, I'm not entirely sure if this
I
fight
don't
would
understand
even
how
be
he's gonna be able to
possible if
fight.
it weren't for the hero that is Makoto Koji, Hornet's voice actress. This is because Cactus's entire strat revolves around standing in the rightmost corner and jumping or slashing whenever he hears Hornet scream. Her screaming, "Shaw!" or "Edina!" or whatever indicates that Hornet has jumped and is dashing towards the player's direction.
That is true.
Cactus jumps whenever this happens.
is true.
And that's basically the fight.
So
It's very
this fight
slow,
would definitely
requires
take
lot
a
of
long
attention,
time
and
to
may
be able
not
to
even
do.
work consistently. But you know, that's basically the summary of a blindfolded Hollow Knight run. He picks up the Mothwing cloak, and now he's off to get Claw.
Okay, so it took
But before he
about
does that, he has to face off
33,
the
almost
greatest
34
enemy of
minutes
all,
just to be able
the main
to
menu.
just
To
to
do
be
this,
able to
he's
get
very
there.
careful
Holy
and moves
smokes.
the mouse really far away, and then slowly maneuvers
That's
through the menu.
kind of crazy.
There may or may not have been times in previous runs where he accidentally shut down the game. As I mentioned earlier, his playstyle has changed quite a lot now that he has dash.
True.
He can now use the dash to
Like, how
count
long did he
distance,
actually like take
which
to
becomes
get
increasingly
to how
useful
far he was?
because the rooms
He
get
might have been
bigger
working on
and
this
the
for like
platforms get
months.
smaller,
Like
etc.,
every day he was
etc..
working on this. So.
Once again, positioning against
I don't know.
walls and other
It's cool.
landmarks is
It's
really
cool.
important. See,
would
for
I ever do
example,
something
he
like
uses
this?
the big walls on the side of this
Probably
room to
not.
position himself.
But as a normie,
However,
I guess
remembering
it's
exactly where you are in a big room like this, especially when you fall into a few acid
Pretty
pits
cool
along
launch.
the way, is not exactly easy, and he decides to quit out once he gets lost. The quit out is one of his best tools in case he gets in a pickle, because if he messes up a segment, he can simply restart the entire sequence from the beginning.
Okay.
Now, on the very next
Guess
try,
that's
he makes it all the
true.
way down, and then goes on to kill the Shrumal Ogres for the
It's a good
charm
way to
notch.
reset
Having
where you
more
want to
notches
go.
is going to be really important for his strategies later due to the charms he's going to be using. Now, Cactus is not one to do things the easy way, and that's why he learned the explosion pogo blindfolded. Now, how's this possible? Well, it's all about setup. For starters, he does 2 neutral dashes to line himself up with a wall.
This is how I'm
then
going to
once
learn
he
how to
lands,
do
he
this
does 3 full
this
jumps.
trick actually.
This lines him up to pogo right before the spore explodes, and due to his positioning, he gets hit to the left, where he can just pogo and dash again.
Okay, so can you actually pogo off the blast in the fully updated game? Is that possible? Can somebody tell me that? Because I'm
After
wondering if that
slowly
is
but
actually
steadily
possible, because
making
I
his
have
way
yet
through the
to
mantises in the
try
upper
and do
Mantis
it
village,
without
Cactus
it being
is
the
able to
updated
pick up
version.
The Mantis Claw.
And there we have it.
And Mantis
Good
Claw.
shit.
Only took
Now,
him less than an
despite getting
hour.
the city crest, Cactus actually
It's
is
faster
entering
than
the
it
City
took
of
me
Tears
to
through
get
the Blue
Mantis
Lake.
Claw.
This mainly has
That's
to do
for sure.
with the patch.
And here's the
he's
thing, I've
running.
tried to
He's
go
doing this right on
fast,
patch 1221,
but-
which means that the lever skip still exists. Most notably, there is a lever skip you can do with dash slash, where you can get the Shade Soul without the elegant key. Dash slash will also help him make his way through Sanctum, which is an area that probably wouldn't really be possible if it weren't for this.
Okay.
Also, it's gonna allow him to buy some charms on the way, which is good, and he gets
No.
some flex by doing a blindfolded
No,
shade skip,
no.
which I can't really blame him for that. Another unexpected example.
I don't know.
of
I
something
don't
that
know.
becomes
Sometimes
really
when you look at
difficult when
blindfolded runs,
blindfolded
it's hard to
is the
know whether
Celebra
there
charm
actually
shop
are
menuing, believe it
blindfolded or not.
If Cactus isn't careful and
Yeah, you
doesn't
can
pay attention
see
to
it,
what he's
but,
doing,
like,
he
if
might
they
buy
have
the
a
wrong charm and
camera,
kill his
but
run.
At the
But
same
he
time,
actually
it's
has a
like,
really clever solution for
how do
this.
you know?
In the shop menu,
Like, what
he
if
works
they- what if
himself
he's,
from
like,
the
looking
bottom
through the
up,
little
knowing that he hasn't
slits
unlocked
underneath,
the notches and doesn't
and
have
then-
enough geo for quick focus. This
Ah.
safely lands him on Shaman Stone without running the risk of buying the wrong charm and killing the run. These small little creative solutions are really the backbone of this run.
You know, it's kind of hard to
From
really
here,
say
Cactus
unless you
rescues
see
Sly and
everything.
sets up the shade skip.
But a lot of it has to
Just
go
like the
with
other speedrunning skips
just
in this
trusting
route, there are
that the
consistent
player
ways to
is being
time and
honest.
position yourself using dashes, jumps, and nail hits. That being said, it's still quite impressive.
Yeah, I'm
Just
gonna
a
have
little
to
bit
learn how to
further
do
ahead,
that
I want to highlight
properly.
the way
I think that's how I'm
Cactus
gonna have
approaches
to
the
do it if I
dream
do my own
platforms.
run.
While there is no inherent risk
Because
of dying or
how
ending
to-
the run
being
here,
able to
this
do it the
segment
other
is
way is
really
way too
tricky
tricky.
and could waste him a lot of time, which makes it crucial to come up with a good strategy so that he doesn't waste his brain power on it. Keep in mind there's still around 3 hours of gameplay to go, so he really needs to optimize. After clearing
The good
each
news about
chunk
the
of
dream
platforming,
areas
Cactus
is even if
dashes
you
off the big
fall,
platforms.
you don't
This is
die.
because there's a new hazard checkpoint
It just starts
set
you
for
back
each one
at
of them. This allows him
spot
to
you were
start the
last.
next segment from a consistent position. After getting the dream nail, Cactus makes his way all the way down to King Station.
So it works
He
out,
gathers
at
a
least
few
in that
relics
regard.
and
He
kills
can have a
the
little bit
Gordon
of
Husk before setting out leftwards.
time to relax.
As previously mentioned, he wants to get Dash Slash, but he simply doesn't have enough Geo for it yet, which
Right.
means that he needs to go sell to Lem. He uses the Watcher's Spire lever skip to
Didn't
get up,
see that, but okay.
and then sets his bench over at Cornifer. This bench is going to be really important later, as he needs to return here a few times. Now, after selling to Lem, he travels back to King Station manually and goes
Okay.
down to Kingdom's Edge. After getting
Ooh,
Dash
Kingdom's
Slash from
Edge.
Oro, he returns back to the Cornifer bench.
Well, actually,
and
no,
goes into
that
Sanctum.
does kind of depend. What kind
Before
of
he does
ending
any
is
of
he
the
going
actual
for?
Sanctum, he goes
I'm
to the
assuming
left and
not
does the
true
dash
ending.
lever skip to get
That
Shade
would
Soul
be
early. This lever skip is
disgustingly
really
terrible
important
to try
because
and
it allows
attempt.
him to get Shade Soul before even going to Crystal Peak or doing
I guess it would
Sanctum.
just be the
This
normal
is going to mitigate a
all-night
lot of the
fight.
pain and suffering that comes with Soul Sanctum RNG that he otherwise would have a really, really hard time with. Not that Sanctum is particularly nice like this either.
Yeah.
Before Cactus enters Sanctum
Sanctum's
proper, he
kind
gets
of
the
tricky
simple key
too,
from
because you don't know
storage,
if
which
the
is gonna
guys
be
are going to be
useful
floating
later.
around and then hitting
Sanctum
you or something.
proper is a really, really tricky area.
I looped the first two
This
bars.
is
then you-
especially the case when you're blindfolded, because
just saving credit.
now not only can the Soul Twisters teleport anywhere, you also don't.
I've
know
I've
where
looked
they
at a bunch
are.
of Blue SR's
This is the
videos,
first
and
place
I
on the
think
run
they're
where
all
Cactus
really
stares
good.
at death.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that
wasn't
right there.
too
That's what I
far.
was worried about.
And he teleported in front of me. I got it. I was on top of the lever, but I got bad RNG and he teleported in front of me. It's not that big of a
How do you
deal.
know
I
he
can
was
get
in
back
front?
easily.
Due to the nature
Well, how
of
do you
Sanctum
know he
RNG,
was,
this is
behind?
pretty much unavoidable for Cactus.
How do you know he
but
didn't just spawn
manages
on
to
you?
rescue his Shade and save the
Unless he
run.
looked at that
As
moment.
I mentioned
Probably
earlier,
did. He's like,
Dash
what?
Slash is really useful
No!
in Soul Sanctum,
Which
because
is like,
it allows
you know,
you to
it's
do
fair,
certain
whatever,
lever
you
skips
died,
that
so
skip
what
the
can you do?
trickiest parts of Sanctum. For example,
So-
this room, dubbed the Hell Room by speedrunners due to how bad RNG-wise it is, can be completely skipped with a dash slash. So,
This?
Cactus makes his way to the Soul Master Arena after the
I guess
Soul
it would have
Twisters
patched
let
out
him
the dash
through.
slash thing.
He enters the arena and begins the fight.
They're gonna
Oh
love
my
resume.
gosh, stupid
But
ads. You
I
hate
gotta
them, you
find
hate them,
the
you hate
right
them, you
word.
hate them, you hate them.
Not
I'm just going to turn that sound off. And boom. There we go.
But
You know,
you
sometimes it's
fight
hard
Soul
wanting to
Master
do
blindfolded.
wanting to do a recording and then just
Well,
ads
as
show up.
Cactus
Yes,
begins
I
the
know.
fight,
I don't got
he takes refuge in
premium.
the
I'm
bottom
not
right
spending
corner
money on
once again.
premium.
Just like with
Though
Hornets, the
maybe
game's
I
audio design
could.
ends up making
Maybe
this
you
fight
guys can
possible.
convince me to get
It
premium so
allows
that
him
way
to
when I
listen
do more
for the
reacts.
fireballs, watch out
uh,
for the horizontal dashes, and even dodge
like,
dives, since they
maybe
never
I won't actually have to
hit
worry
him
about that, I don't
directly, allowing him to jump over the shockwave. But as
So
you
the
might
strategy is
notice,
again
he's
the
not
same, just staying
dealing
in the
any
corner.
damage to the boss. And that's because Cactus is waiting for the orb spinning attack. Once this happens, he dashes out with a consistent setup of movement and shoots fireballs for double hits along the
Oh.
boss's pattern. Due
Okay.
to picking up Shade Soul, he's able to deal a lot of damage this way, and the boss doesn't take very long to die.
But it can be kind of risky though when trying to
Good
run. You
recovery.
get hit a bunch.
Holy crap!
But what happens when you
The
fall?
second phase is quite similar to how speedrunners do it, because the boss always drops.
Which
on
I've
top of
actually,
you
I don't know.
while he's
I
out
I
of the
still
way.
need to look up the lore
Once
of
Cactus
the Soul
escapes
Sanctum because
Sanctum,
like
he
what
goes
is
all the
this
way
like
down
whole
to the
area there
waterways
down
with the key that
below?
he got earlier.
I'll have to take a look
Because,
at that later.
well,
I don't know.
It's time to get Fluke Nest. As
Why?
you might know, Fluke Nest is extremely broken on almost every patch of the game. On 1.2.1, the spell is just really powerful to shorten it down.
Wait,
If
what?
you're curious about Fluke Nest's history of being broken, I have a full video about it on my channel, not to plug myself too much. but
Sure.
he
I
gets
guess
Fluke
that's gonna
Nest
be my
because
next
of
react
its
vid
incredible
probably. It
strength.
might be my next
with
react
an entire
vid.
112 damage per full Shaman Stone cast, as opposed to the Shade Soul's usual 40. Once Flukemarm is defeated, Cactus climbs all the way up to the Watcher's Spire, because it's time to fight
Wait,
the
is
Watcher
Flukemarm
Knights.
actually that
For
good?
this fight, he actually overcharged
I've always looked at it. I'm
Shaman
like,
Stone,
this thing
Twister,
looks
and Fluke
really
Knight.
bad. I don't know if I want to
reason
use
for
it.
this
I've
will
never
become
used it
pretty
before, so
apparent
is it actually
as soon as
good?
you see the boss fight. Also, note how he refreshes the menu each time to make sure he's equipping the right
Wait, what?
charms. The Watcher Knights, unlike Hornet or Soulmaster, for example,
Wait, what is? Wait,
aren't
what?
really as predictable in the same
Is
way.
that-
So the only way to make this reasonably doable
What was
is
that
to
just right
kill
there?
them before
Overcharm,
they
did
can
I
kill
see?
you. And luckily with Flukeness that is no problem.
Learning something new
Since
every
each
time I
Watcher has
look.
220 HP, and the Flukes, as I said earlier,
Oh,
deal
Watcher Knights are
112,
really
you
bad
can
when you
easily
first
kill a
start playing.
Watcher in 2
There we go.
casts. However, his setup and timing needs to be
Okay.
perfect so that he gets all the Dream Nails he
There we
needs
go.
and
Wait,
kills the bosses
so
before they can escape the
What?
starting
What is this
position.
overcharm thing?
After Cactus
I'm
gets
so
the Geo
confused.
rewards, he doesn't get
Hmm.
Lurian. I'll just let him explain this.
Okay, Now, normally in a speedrun, you would go get Lurian right now,
Okay.
but because we're blind, and we have to go through crossroads multiple times after this, and after you get a dreamer, the crossroads become infected, which means the enemies become more aggressive, and there's more of them. It's just generally a bad time.
Right.
So we actually don't get Lurian right now, and we save him for last. So we go get Monomon and Hera first.
Okay.
And then before the final boss, we loop all the way back here to get Lurian, just to be safe.
So,
Okay.
he returns to King's Station, goes
Valid,
to Dirtmouth,
I would
buys
say.
the lantern, and then returns to the crossroads.
Yeah, and then you have
stag.
to get the lantern.
Because it's time for
the
the
lantern's a
hardest and most
huge
mind-blowing
thing you have
part
to
of the
get.
run.
But
But first, Cactus needs to get
the
through
only
this
reason you
crossroads room.
get it
Now, I think before we go
is
into
for
Peak,
Crystal
I'm just gonna let
Peaks.
this
It
crossroads
makes it
room
easier to
play
get
out
through,
really
obviously,
put it into perspective how difficult this challenge is.
Deepnest.
You know what's really funny? Like, if we didn't know he was blindfolded, this would just look like the gameplay of one of those, like, mobile game scam ads where it's like, only 0.01% of players can beat this level. And it's like the worst gameplay
Or me when
you've
I
ever
first start
seen.
playing the game.
Actually, I'm gonna make one of those real quick. 1 second. Here we go.
My dad, my mom.
Anyway,
Dude was
after
having too
Cactus
much
overcomes
fun.
the
You know, I
incredibly
think that's
difficult,
good.
harrowing
Having some
crossroads
fun in
room,
your
it's
videos
time
is
to
always
enter
good.
Crystal Peak.
But I'm wondering
This
if
is
it'd be
easily the
faster to
most
go
challenging
for
part of the
Desolate
run,
Dive
and
to get
alone,
through,
I think,
rather
makes
than
this one
going
of the most
for,
incredible achievements in Hollow Knight
Would
history.
Desolate Dive be
Think
faster
about
than
it.
going for the
Conveyors
lantern?
that constantly move you so you can't stand in
Maybe
a consistent
not,
position. Laser cycles that
but
repeat
I
over
kind of think
and over
it might
again
be
with
faster a
audio
little
effects
bit.
so
But then
loud
again,
that it's
I don't know.
incredibly
I'll have
difficult
to
discern
probably
where you
look
are in
it
the
up.
cycle. Tall vertical rooms, and yeah, you can imagine. For each
Crystal
one of
Peak
these rooms,
sucks.
Cactus
Like,
needs
Crystal
to
Peak is, like,
refine
the
his
worst.
strategy to perfection to be able to pull it off. He's found consistent ways to regain health and soul in case he messes up, so that
Okay.
he doesn't have to
Using
save
Dream
and quit
Nail.
every time he fails. But really what makes these big climb rooms possible is the fact that he has picked up Shade Soul. Because Shade Soul
Okay.
travels through walls, he's able to kill some of the crystal crawlers.
Oh, it also
safely.
goes through walls.
Considering this,
That's
it's
interesting.
no surprise that this entire section takes over
I don't know, I've
15
never noticed
minutes
it.
for Cactus to get through. But all of the challenges of Crystal Peak
Takes them a
pale
few
in
minutes?
comparison to the
Sure.
very last room. The Crystal
Oh,
Heart Cycle
jeez.
room is
Oh,
a
no. That's a
humongous
nightmare.
room.
Oh
And
gosh.
it really has everything. A giant spike pit, laser cycles, the flipping platforms, conveyor belts.
Yeah.
Everything about this room is designed to screw you over if you are
Yeah,
blindfolded.
it's meant to
This is
hurt you.
Cactus just
mentally and
recreating his
emotionally.
strategy in his head.
Sometimes physically. Crystal Peak's disgusting.
Right.
Terrible.
1000, tap off, dash, full jump, dash left into the wall, jump right into the next
You know,
wall.
I have to say
Wait
I am very
second,
impressed with the knowledge
dash left,
that all of
break
these
the
players
walls, go to
have.
the right,
But at the
dash
same
attacks,
time,
wait
I've
for
noticed
crystal
that
cycles.
by joining in the kind of
Man,
the
oh
Hollow Knight
man, this is-
And the
community,
very worst part is that once
some
you
of
get
us
to
just
the
have
middle
way
point,
too
there
much
is no
time
going
on our
back.
hands,
There's no getting
honestly.
more soul. You have to pull it off first try.
Again.
So Cactus takes a deep breath, and he goes.
oh, we did this first try while blind.
Even a slight misposition will result in tumbling into the spikes below, and that's exactly what happens.
Oh, dude freaks out. He knew he was
But
close.
Cactus doesn't give up.
Dang.
He still
He
has
was very
4 HP,
close.
and if he plays perfectly, he might just pull it off. However, it's even harder to catch on to the correct cycle here because the noise of the lasers.
Not again. You know what? You know what? After this, after this, I'm just gonna, you know what? You guys don't need to convince me. After this,
all the
I'm
time.
definitely gonna be getting
So he
premium.
gathers his courage. He
Ads
goes.
suck so much. All right, so second time he goes for it. Oh, he recovered. He recovered. Oh, he recovered.
Oh my god!
Dang, that was close. I don't know how I would have been able to. I don't think I could do that. I don't really think I could do that. That's crazy.
Believe. All you gotta do is believe.
But just because the
And he gets
hardest
it.
area of the game is over, it doesn't mean it gets easy from here.
Well, he can just
now,
go out
Cactus
now.
does something a little bit strange here, because he's gonna go get Ismas, and getting Ismas is not the weird thing about this. It's just
Sure.
the way he goes about it. You
Well,
know, because he just
you
picked up
need
C
Yzma
dash, you
because
would
it'd
think
be
that he
too
would just
difficult
do
to
the
try and
acid
pull
skips to Ismas, and
one dash, right?
yeah, he does. But he also goes to King's Pass to get 2 lifeblood, only to travel to Waterways to fight Dung Defender for no reason, and then does the acid skip anyway.
What?
What?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
Turns out he just routed in a completely useless boss. Enjoy the Dung Defender music, I suppose.
Wait.
However, the Isma skips themselves require some
So you can
finicky
actually skip
timing
to get to
and
Yzma's
therefore
tier?
are very impressive. From here on out,
Huh.
Cactus returns to Crossroads
Because I
and goes
know
down
you
to
need it if
Fog
you want to
Canyon,
get to.
because it's time to fight Umu. Now, the fight itself
Yeah,
isn't
you
that
need it to get there
complicated
unless you
because he
pull off
has
the one
Deepnest
dash
and is
step.
able to kill Umu in one cycle.
But it's
so I'm
kind
not
of
gonna
maybe
go
too
into that
difficult
too
to
much.
do with.
Out of all of the bosses in the run, this one is probably the safest one. So, he picks up Monomon and then moves
Hold on.
As
Was that a
usual, from
one
here on,
cycle
Cactus has 2 different ways to
Umu?
get to Hera. Either you go through Queen's
So wait,
Gardens,
so apparently the
or
fluke
you go
nest is
through Deepnest.
actually
The speedrunner's
broken?
usual
Is
pick,
that what I'm
Queen's
getting
Gardens, is way too difficult when you're blindfolded. With the
Oh,
toggling
gosh, Queen's
platforms and
Oh.
difficult enemies, it's just not viable.
got so
Cactus
happy to
instead
get rid
opts
of
for
the
Deepnest
acid
routes,
problems with
and
the
this
Yzma's
allows
tier,
him
but
to
then
bench
they
at
have to
the
deal with
hot
thorns
spring
and
in Deepnest
spikes.
and get himself a handy
Um,
checkpoint to quit out to. And quit out he does quite a lot of times, because Deepnest is a very treacherous area.
Dirty
Especially when you can't see the game. Despite having
When you're
dash and
blind,
C-dash, it's really hard for
blind
characters to get
and have
across
no
the
eyes.
pits consistently, because the
This is funny.
spacings are all really awkward. What also
like
doesn't
this
help
happens
are the
frequently.
spiders that shoot projectiles, as well as the
Yeah.
ones that spawn on the walls,
Yep,
as well as the
spikes.
floors that break into spike. Oh, you get the point.
Oh yeah, literally everything
Despite
just
all
falls
this,
apart
Cactus slowly
in
but
Deepnest.
steadily makes his way through
I-
Deepnest.
I can't really say
But
Deepnest
perhaps
is
even more
worse than Crystal
terrifying
Peak
is the
when it comes to
giant distant
parkour.
village pit.
I have to say
Because
that
if you fall
Deepnest
here,
sucks.
you have to redo
Anyways,
the
it's like the
entire area.
second
So
word,
Cactus
like
C-dashes
second
from the
hated
wall,
area.
And
Oh,
but
Missed
all is
it.
not lost. He quits out and does the entire area once again. And on the second try,
but can
he
you
does
not? Can you
get
not just
across.
go into the water then climb back up?
Now, all that remains is Beast
You get
Den,
to-
going up to get Lurian, and then fighting the Hollow Knight. Now, before I cover this very last part of the run, I wanted to ask Cactus some questions directly about, well, why the hell he attempted this.
Yeah,
So
why?
we hopped in a call in Discord,
you know,
and
besides
here's what he
for
answered.
the views.
Hello.
So I just had a few questions regarding the Blindfolded run, if you don't mind. I guess the first one is, well, why did you decide to try this?
Why would
That's
you
a good
like to do
question.
this?
I think it was someone in chat. I was like out loud. I was wondering like, what else? What other challenge runs could I do? Because like I was having fun with it, and then
Yeah.
someone was like, blindfolded.
Oh,
I was
just
like,
like
you know,
one random
not a
comment
bad idea.
got turned into an entire
Did it.
challenge.
Just casually like that. And regarding
That's
that,
kind of
like,
scary.
how the
Chat
hell
apparently
did you
has a
learn
lot of
a
power to sway people.
5-hour-long blindfolded
It
run?
does.
Like, what was your strategy for memorizing the run?
I mean, I'm a theater kid, so like I've been memorizing stuff since high school.
Hmm.
It's easier to memorize it when you're going through it where you can see.
Right.
So that's what I did basically. Is I tried to plan out like movement for that room and see if it would work.
Okay.
And then like get it consistent, and then I would try and do it blindfolded. It's like it's
So kind of like the
basically-
It's like
extreme version of learning dark rooms.
It's
like you
literally
do
just
it with
taking
lantern,
every
and then you
little
do it without
section
lantern.
at a time,
pretty
just
much,
learning
yeah.
everything
And you
about
barely
each
had
room
any
every
memory
time.
slips either, just like 1 or 2.
Yeah, other than
really
that like
awesome.
30-minute one at the end of the run. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and another question that I figured I should ask: what was the hardest
Man,
part? Because I'm gonna
it's
guess
beyond me.
it's Crystal
It's
Peak.
very much beyond me
Because,
how
yeah,
people
it's the hardest part of the run, for sure. Only because of that last room. I don't think that was the hardest to route though, because I will say it took me a long time to figure out how to beat THK. Because even with
Yeah,
Fluke
trying
Nest
to beat
on
the Hollow
121,
Knight is a little bit more
it
tricky
still like
than
pretty
all
much
the other
wasn't
ones.
possible with 5 HP. So I would
Why did you fight Dung Defender, by the way?
because I
It was
forgot.
so random.
You just
I
forgot?
It was part of the route. I didn't. Those the 2 and 2 didn't add up. Okay.
He's just like, all right, I guess now we're going to fight Dung
So how does it
Defender,
feel
and
to
then
be the
doesn't
only
fight
person
Doesn't even need to fight Dungeon Defender. You know, maybe just for the sake of doing it.
Literally anybody can do this. I was just stupid enough to like dedicate like a month of my life to actually doing it.
Okay, maybe if I
long did it
dedicated
take,
a
by
month
the
of
way,
my
to
life
learn
and
it?
like
I wanna
years
say,
of
like,
actually playing higher Hollow Knight, but I have yet to
I
actually
was
do
like
any of
6 hours a
that.
day for like a month and a half ish.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for answering the questions. GG's on the run, and
Of course,
yeah, I'll
buddy.
see ya.
Thank you later.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
the guy was
back
kind
to
of humble
Beastden.
about it too. You gotta give him credit
Beastden
for that
on
because a lot of
paper
people can be
seems
like
quite scary. There's really tight corridors,
really,
spiders that
snobbish
shoot
when
projectiles,
saying like, "Oh
and,
yeah,
of
I did
course,
all
the
this. I'm so
devours,
good. I'm so great."
which deal double damage.
No,
and
that dude was
therefore can
pretty
really
humble when
easily
saying it.
mess you up. Is
honestly.
what I would have said if this wasn't patch 1.2.2.1 and Cactus didn't have flukes because they die in one cast.
Kill spiders and one.
Future is
Oh
mine,
my
those
god!
who fight for it. We are Marines.
I don't want to join the army.
This may be the last
Okay,
accuracy.
for anybody
Pineapple,
who's
this is your
here,
favorite
do not
website,
get
and
pie.
watch
Just saying
ads
this now, do not get
disappear.
pie.
However,
They are
you
the
can
same
also-
creators who
God, this
made
charm is so
honey.
OP. Oh my
For those
God.
people who know the honey
That being
scandal,
said, though, the traversal is
uh,
still really scary.
do
because
not
the
get
spiders can
pie.
really
It is
easily
the
knock you
made by
into
the same
spikes
people
if
who
they
made
hit you,
honey.
allowing
Do
you to take
not.
double damage
I
from that
repeat,
as
do
well.
not
Because
get
of that,
pie.
he ends up on 1 HP once and has to quit out. But other than that, he
Maybe I
makes
should do a
it
video like on
relatively easily. He collects Hera
discussing
and
more on
moves out of
the honey
Beastden.
scandal, but
This
literally,
is where we run
do not
into
get pie.
a problem. Memorizing a 5-hour long run, room for room, is really difficult, and Cactus.
it's really
finally
difficult.
has
That's
memory slip.
underselling the whole thing.
He
man.
forgets the movement from distant village to the distant village stag, and he is in trouble. This, on paper, is a completely risk-free room, but if he can't remember it, the run is dead. Minute after minute, time passes by, and Cactus is getting more and more nervous. But he's racking his brain.
Well,
and
he's the only one
it's
to do a
just not
blindfolded
working.
run.
Just these
Because
few little
the first
small
blindfolded run that
platforms
gets
are pretty
done
much what's standing
is
in
the
his way
world
right now,
record. So
and he just can't do it. So he tries and he tries,
so this
and
room was what took
eventually
so long.
he pulls it off. Even simple little platforming rooms like that are run killers if you can't remember how to do them. It's absolutely crazy. Now that that
Gotta
close
stay back a
call is
little
out
bit.
of the way, Cactus stags to King Station, goes up to Lurien
Okay.
and collects, well, Lurien.
Final stretch.
And now there's only
Oh
one
wait,
thing
he did
standing
Watcher
in his
Knights,
way.
but did not
The
get
Hollow
Lurien?
Knight is the only thing that remains blocking him from being the first ever person to beat Hollow Knight blindfolded. Even with Flukenest being so powerful on this patch, Cactus has no chance against THK with only 5 HP. They are way too
Yeah.
unpredictable of a fight, and you can't outdamage them in any way, shape, or form like you can, like the Watcher Knights. So
Yeah.
what he does instead is pretty interesting.
Go for the
Cactus
blue.
goes on a lifeblood gathering tour. Cactus gathers lifeblood in Greenpath and in King's
Okay.
Pass. He also gets stuck here for 5 minutes, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Without taking damage, slowly but steadily makes his way back to the Hollow Knight.
Okay, so
this.
9 health.
We can do this. We can do this. Stay positive. We can do this. Eliminate the enemy.
Is he just gonna go straight in?
And then he begins the fight. All he has to do is damage the
Alright,
boss
just
enough
going
to get to the
straight on
second
in.
phase where he can get few opportunities to heal.
Uses the
So
flukes.
Cactus starts the fight. Once again, he uses the rightmost corner as a reference to try to get some soul from the fight. But once again, what matters is
Okay.
trying to kill them before they kill you. The boss's attacks are way too random to reliably be dodged, but
True.
slowly but steadily he whittles down their health and trades hits. Some attacks he actually manages to dodge.
That was
whether
a
it be
lucky
timing
jump.
or luck.
And he just runs into it. Yeah.
And finally, as he's getting low on health, the screen comes, and he's into the second phase. I'm just gonna let it play from here.
Alright, let's see it. Uses the heal. Smart. Uses more spells. And he gets it. So similar strategy to all the other bosses, like most of the other bosses. But he also had to get really lucky with some of those things, with some of those things too. Because he had to,
Let's
he literally
go,
just
dude.
jumped in between them too.
Let's go.
It was very much just RNG.
Yeah.
A lot of luck, but also
Ah.
definitely skill. You gotta include skill.
Yes.
A lot of understanding the boss. And the game in general.
Thank you so
crazy.
much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I do a lot of more Hollow Knight content, so subscribe if you want to. And
Yep,
of
already
course,
did.
check out Cactus. His links are in the description. Thank
That is actually kind of crazy. There ain't no way I'm doing that challenge. Oh heck no. Oh heck no. Though I gotta figure out my own kind of challenges, I think. But Silk Song's been announced. Everybody's hyped for that, so when Silk Song comes out, definitely gonna be playing that. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. So, till next time, guys. Take care.